When it comes to playing Overwatch optimally, the community is often very split in their opinions. With a lack of knowledge for the underlying systems that create our competitive experience, a lot of players have no other option but to assume what is the best course of action. Others choose to blindly believe third parties and their opinions disguised as research. But when you look beyond the facade of a beautifully created article or a video, you realize that the sample sizes were so small, the results might as well be worthless. Streamers, just as much as YouTubers, don't know the answer to all the questions you have. We can tell you about our experiences and our thought process, but nothing we say is definitive, let alone scientific. We don't know if duo or triple queuing is the best way of approaching ranked. We don't know if one-tricking is truly the optimal way of gaining elo. However, there are some things that are just blatantly wrong, baseless assumptions that suggest the game to be about as simplistic as riding a bike, and that is what I want to talk about today. Overwatch does mean a lot to many players, but there are some things it is not representing which people think it does, to which I have to say, you might be playing the wrong game, buddy. The first such misconception will be the legend of the solo carry. Solo carrying does not exist in Overwatch, at least not in the sense that many players make it out to be. When we're talking about a solo carry, then we're talking about a person that single-handedly manages to win the match, and that means without the input of their team whatsoever. Even Grandmaster players will not necessarily win every single match on a Platinum Smurf account, and that is a testament to how team-reliant this game truly is. The reason high-ranked players rank up very rapidly on low elo accounts, next to their gameplay contributing more towards a victory than that of the players around them, is the performance-based matchmaking system. The game is trying to get them out of this elo ASAP because they are outperforming everyone in that rating. That does not mean that they will win every match. If the other 5 people on their team decide to stay and spawn and let them solo carry, or if they decide to completely neglect the objective, that Grandmaster player can still lose in an elo that is way lower than what his gameplay reflects. You are not solo carrying when you need a Mercy to constantly pocket you. You are also not carrying when the reason for your quad kill lies in all the space that your tanks created for you. And you're not a god for making use of a nano boost and actually killing something. If you're looking for the solo carry experience, then you're playing the wrong game. As much as you might like to imagine that you're a god at this game, it takes 6 people to win a match. Tanks are there to create space for their team and protect them from damage. Supports allow their tanks to be able to do that in the first place, and all of that is a setup for the DPS players to make sure that their job is as easy as possible. When your tanks are too passive or when your supports fail to keep the front line topped off, then your DPS will have a way harder time finding the openings they need to do the killing that the team requires. When your DPS is not on point, then the tanks will eventually get overrun and the entire structure of your team collapses. Solo carrying is not a thing in Overwatch. You can abuse mistakes your enemies make and you can make use of the support that your team gives you, but you are never winning a match entirely on your own. Entitlement, arrogance, selfishness, and a downright delusional view on their own performance is what makes players lose matches all the time. The moment you stop seeing yourself as part of a machine, the moment you stop contributing towards that machine functioning and working together, creating a unit whose only job is taking over the objective, you are making it way harder for yourself and the 5 other individuals on your team to win the game. One-tricking is not and never was encouraged by the game either. Players grew satisfied with their performance on a single hero and decided to create what we know as the matchmaking lottery today. A lottery that, at random, decides whether we can win a match or not. A game that is built around the idea of adapting and working together suddenly turns into a gamble that has you hoping that the one trick you get on your team somehow counters the one trick that the enemies get. Naturally, we are dealing with more factors that create this inconsistent gameplay experience. Toxicity and downright terrible attitudes, a lack of willingness to give it their all, refusing to communicate and work together, all these things can be a detriment to your chances for victory, one trick or not. But if you're looking for a game where stubbornly insisting to only play a single character is fine, then you should keep looking. Because Overwatch is not that game. Only because you don't get banned for doing that does not mean that's alright. You're actively playing against the basic design the game has been built on, no matter how you slice it. It could be argued that you're still playing the game wrong when you do it in quick play, but it's a casual game mode for a reason. For players to, well, play casually and do whatever. Given the lack of gating tools that stop players with a wrong mindset from entering competitive play, which is known to be taken more serious and requires players to play the game as it was intended to be, Blizzard actually is finally enforcing disciplinary action upon those who refuse to adhere to the basic concepts of the game, and that for good reason. The integrity of competitive play is important for the game and its growing esports scene. How can players take an esports seriously and enjoy watching it when it's nothing like what they're experiencing in their own games? Pro play should reflect the highest level of Overwatch gameplay there is, rather than being an entity that exists outside the game itself as it is available to us mortals. This is not an argument about being allowed to do what you want with a game you paid money for. That would be accurate for any single player experience. But competitive multiplayer games are services. You should not be able to enforce your personal worldview on an already established system that wants nothing to do with that in such an environment. If you want to be a lone wolf and only rely on your own skill, you're playing the wrong game. If you want to practice only one of many characters available, you're playing the wrong game. If you want to ignore the bigger picture and neglect your team, then, well, you're playing the wrong game. You don't buy a bus ticket and suddenly expect to get a free ride with a cab, even when initially you thought you could. The service you purchased is not what you're looking for, and the fault lies with you and your decision to buy something that does not accommodate to what you desire to experience. So to end this off, if you're playing competitive, you did not buy the game and thus make the rules. You bought the right to participate in something that has an already established set of rules, and if you're not following those rules, payment or not, you should be booted. But this is me done for the day as I discuss the nature of Overwatch as a competitive game and whether or not those are the droids you're looking for. Let me know your thoughts on this whole issue and whether or not you think that paying $40 gives you the right to make your own rules in a game that always has you interact with 11 other individuals. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.